Class of supply කියන lesson එක තමයි අන්තිමට කතා කරන්නේ. ඒක අපි supply කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා බැලුවා. Simply quantity of goods and services that suppliers are willing and able to supply at a given price over a period of time. That's how we define supply. After that, අද මට මෙතන මේක පෙන්වන්න විදියක් නැහැ. ඒක නිසා ඔයාලගේ මම ගිය පාර දාපේට චුට්ටක් බලන්න. ඒක මම අන්තිමට නැත්තුවේ theory of supply කියන එක. එතන මේක චුට්ටක් load වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක නිසා පොඩ්ඩක් screen ලබි මේකේ පැත්තේ law of supply. It says law of supply means the relationship. Sorry, before it, we were discussing number of factors influencing supply of a good, then the price of the product, price of related goods, technology, producers' expectation, number of consumers, other factors, price of inputs. මේ වගේ factors ටික අපි discuss කරේ. එතකොට ඒ factors අපි කියනවා, we can say like independent factors. Then the quantity supply is a dependent factor. So theory of supply and law of supply can be identified when we look at these relationship. Especially theory of supply means we concentrate the relationship between quantity supply of a good and factors influencing supply of a good. So such a relationship is referred to as theory of supply. Handout එකේ තියෙනවා, the analysis of manner in which supply for a particular good changes when there is a change in any factor that determines supply of a given good is referred to as theory of supply. එහෙනම් මේ ඔක්කොම factors change වෙනකොට කියන්නේ ඒතකොට ඒ factors නිසා supply එක change වෙනවා. අන්න ඒකට අපි කියනවා theory of supply කියලා. හරි. ඒකෙන් පස්සේ අපි කතා කරන්නේ law of supply. Law of supply කියලා කියන්නේ the quantity supply, the changes in quantity supply in relation to the change in price of the good. Change in price of the good. එතකොට when the price of a good increases, quantity supply will also increases. When the price of a good decreases, quantity supply will also decreases. එහෙනම් මේක අර demand එක වගේ නෙමෙයි, law of demand වගේ නෙමෙයි. This is completely opposite. There is a positive relationship between price and the quantity supply. So here law of supply, the principle that explain the positive relationship between the price of a good and the quantity supplied of that good over given period of time. When all the factors that determine the supply, they except the price of own good remains constant is referred to as law of supply. The positive relationship that exists between price of a own good and the quantity supplied of that good can be explained through three methods. එහෙනම් මේ law of supply එක අපිට discuss කරන්න පුළුවන්. අර අපි එතකොට law of supply එක පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන් අපිට methods තුනක් use කරලා. One is table, you can say schedule, supply schedule. supply curve and supply equations. That's how we illustrate the law of supply. Uh, then first of all, it says the supply schedule. The supply schedule එක කියලා කියන අර demand schedule එක වගේමයි. එතකොට ඒක table එකක්. ඒකේ පෙන්නන්නේ අර විදිහේ relationship එකක්. මොකද relationship එක positive relationship. As the price increases, quantity supply also increases. When the price decreases, quantity supply also decreases. අපි ඒකට කියනවා අනේ එහෙම prepare කරන table එකකට අපි කියනවා supply schedule එකක් කියලා. එතකොට ඒ supply schedule එකේ here it says presenting the law of supply through a table is referred to as the law of the supply schedule. Supply schedule shown how the quantity supplied of good changes when the price of the given good changes. Relationship between price and quantity supplied of the given good. While ඔයාලා මෙන්න මේක තියෙනවා ඒක බලන්න. Right. So it says that the relationship between price and quantity supplied of the given good, while all other determinants of a supply of the given good remains constant. It shows the quantity of supply willing and able to supply at alternative prices when all else remain constant. The table given below shows is an example of supply schedule. So take up the table. Such a table represent supply schedule. So when you look at that page, it says over here, one side, left side column, price of the good, right side column, quantity supplied. Make a bello peenama. As the price increases from 0 to 50, quantity supply also increase from 0 to 500. Whatever the value we can concern, anyways, there is a positive relationship. Simply, when the price increases, producers have a greater profit. So then producers can be encouraged to supply many units of that good. When the price decreases, producers may have low profit. So then they can be discouraged to supply, then supply goes down. That's a simple analysis why the supply curve or we can say supply and quantity supply and the price of a good is positively related. Right, next one, supply curve. Here the supply curve, we can illustrate the law of supply by using three ways. One is supply schedule, supply curve, and supply equation. Right now, supply curve. Here the supply curve is a graphical representation. So we drew in the previous lesson such a demand curve. Then the demand curve slopes downward. Then we noticed because of the inverse relationship. Right now we can draw up such a supply curve as well, but the supply curve slopes upward from left to right. When the price increases, quantity supply also rises. As a result, supply curve slopes upward from left to right. So it says a graphical representation of the law of supply is referred to as the supply curve. Supply curve reflects how quantity supplied of a good changes over a given period of time. When the price of the given good changes while all other determinants of a supply of the same remains constant, the curve is constructed by linking specific by linking uh, specific points that reflect quantity supplied to the given good at alternative prices of the same. The supply curve constructed using the data of the above schedule is shown below. Because of the positive slope relationship between price and own good and the quantity supplied of the given good, the supply curve has a positive slope. So the supply curve slopes from left to right. As the price increases, supply will also, quantity supply also rises gradually. This is how we construct a supply curve. And the next one, supply equation. In here, we concentrate mathematical relationship. So we look at such a relationship between price and quantity supplied, then equation can be illustrated. Even the equation consists of positive sign between price and the quantity supply, indicating such a relationship. Right. So we look at the next one. So supply equation can be constructed by using a formula QS equal A plus BP. This is the supply equation. So the supply equation, QS means quantity supply, A quantity supply at price C0. Then the B means functional relationship. In other words, the slope of the supply curve. In other words, we can take delta Q over delta P, such a relationship, functional relationship. So when the price changes by 1 unit, by how much the quantity supplied changes, right? So then if we take some example, price, quantity supply, price is 2, quantity supply is 100, price is 4, quantity supply is 150. If you look at this like a schedule over here, we can we can construct a supply equation as well. So the supply equation represent QS. First of all, we calculate the value of B. B means delta Q over delta P. Delta Q over delta P. So the delta Q, of course, the change between these quantities, it is 50. Changes between these quantities, it is 2. Therefore, 50 divided by 2. Then the answer is 25. A plus 25B. Then the next one, value of A. How do you do? We should consider the quantity supply when price is 0. Then there is a linear relationship between price and quantity supply. when the price increases in this table always by 2. Therefore, before 2, of course, 0. Here also 50 by 50. Therefore, before 100, there is a 50. Anyways, we can calculate without that option. A plus 25. P means 2. 100 A 50. So A equal 100 minus 50. It is 50. So then finally we can write the equation QS equal 50 plus 25. This is how we construct a supply function. Also, you are given further details in this. So it says here, supply curve, such a slope is mentioned. Thereafter way of calculating the B. The reason for positive relationship between price and the quantity supply is the law of increase in opportunity cost. As the production increases, opportunity cost of production increases. Right. So what does finally it mentioned the reason why positive relationship exists. I told you already, as the price increases, producers have profit. It's a very simple analysis, as I told you. Right now, supply curve slopes upward because of certain reasons. One is increasing opportunity cost. As the production occurs, opportunity cost will also increase. Then it reflects cost of production. In other words, marginal cost. As the output increases, opportunity cost will be there. Then the marginal cost can also be seen. Once again, price increases, or if there's a possibility to cover up, cost, right? If there's possibility to cover up the marginal cost, there is an increase in supply continuously. So we will learn once again under different market structures the reason why the supply curve of a good slopes upward. Next one, change in quantity supply and change in supply. Same thing we studied. So change in quantity supply means extension or contraction. Simply, all other factors are held constant. Price would be a variable factor or the independent factor. As the price changes, quantity supply can also be changed. When the price increases, greater suppliers, right, can be seen. Then quantity supply increases. It is called extension or expansion. When the price decreases, producers are discouraged, less producers in the market, then the supply goes down. It is called contraction in quantity supply. Right. So details are given about extension and contraction. It says when the quantity supply of a good increases or decreases due to change in the price of own good, while other factor that influence the supply, the given good remains constant. That is referred to as change in quantity supplied. This could take place in two ways, a contraction and expansion. When the price of our own good declines, while other the factor that influences supply remains the same, downward movement along the supply curve take place, and this indicate contraction in quantity supply. Simply when the price goes down, suppliers are discouraged. Then the decrease in quantity supply, contraction in quantity supply. Next one, expansion. When the price of the own good increases while all other factors that influence the supply remains same, upward movement along the supply curve take place and indicates expansion of quantity supply. So when the price increases, supplies are encouraged, increase in quantity supply, there is a movement upward along the curve. So in the next page, right, it's here, expansion and contraction. Over here, A to B, when the price increases from 30 to 50, quantity even increase from 300 to 500. So such a movement up along the curve, it is called extension or expansion. When the price declines from 30 to 10, quantity supply even decrease from 30 to 300 to 100. There is a reduction in quantity supply. This is called contraction of quantity supply. So meanwhile, you are given details regarding movements along the curve after the diagram. Just go through by yourself. After that, change in supply. So the change in supply uh, means shift of the supply curve. There are rightward shift or else leftward shift. Rightward means increase in supply. Leftward means decrease in supply. At the same time, you are given contraction of supply, expansion of supply too. So here we concentrate other factors affecting supply, maybe price of related goods. Here, related goods are some goods that the producer can produce, that the producer can make instead of producing the same product, what he produced. Especially uh, other goods, for example, ice cream and yogurt manufacturer. If yogurt manufacturer uses ingredient, when there are changes in the price of ice cream and yogurt, let's say price of yogurt fell, price of ice cream rose, then yogurt producer may intend to switch to supply ice cream instead of manufacturing yogurt, because manufacturing ice cream would be profitable. So then same resource can be occupied. Similar thing. Therefore, it is said to be a relative product. If the price of ice cream increases in such a case, supply of yogurt falls. They likewise, cost of production. If the cost of production is high, less output or less supply. If the cost of production low, high supply. Next one, technology. If the technology is high, that means uh, right, what do you call the as the result, supply will be changed, as well as technology. Sometimes government policies, maybe taxes, subsidies. If the government uh, charge such taxes, therefore supply goes down, then the supply curve shift to the left. In some cases, subsidies are given. Subsidy means a government support for producers. Even nowadays, uh, paddy field farmers or else other farmers are seeking agricultural, what do you call, fertilizer. If the government provides such facility, then supply of the product will rise. If not, supply goes down. Likewise, even weather condition nowadays, bad weather, agriculture production can be decreased, this and that. So here I added such a description. In this article says such a description further. Right. So it is mentioned number of factors, uh, influencing rightward shift as well as leftward shift. Just go through as I told you. Right. That's all I added to that. That is the last week part. Right now, we do start the things what I sent today. Right. Uh, this is regarding market equilibrium. So the market equilibrium sense, now we discussed demand and supply. Under the economic systems, we understood price of a good is determined by market forces of demand and supply in market economies. So then, right now we completed both demand and supply. Now we are considering how price of a good is how is price of a good determined. So then we have to consider market equilibrium for that purpose. So the market equilibrium sense a particular situation where the quantity demand is exactly equal to quantity supplied. Quantity demand is equal to quantity supplied at a given price. Both quantity demand means quantity supply. So the equilibrium will occur. Next one, we can illustrate such a equilibrium or this concept through schedules, curves, and equations, right? Schedules, curves, and equations. It is called market. That's how we look at market equilibrium. So the market equilibrium, we concentrate the way of recognizing price or price of the good, market price of a good, right? It is description is given. So equilibrium is a point is attained when two uh, opposition forces balance, and the market equilibrium is the point where expectations of buyers and sellers that operate in a competitive market becomes equal. Yes, we already knew that demand is a market force from buyers. Supply is a market force from sellers. Right now, it is both will come together. Right? In other words, it is a point at which forces demand and supply balance. As the at the equilibrium point, the quantities the buyers demand and quantities the sellers offer to the market is equal. An excess demand shortage or an excess supply surplus does not exist in the market. Uh, at the equilibrium point, there is no tendency for the price and quantity of given good to change over the given period. The good is available for any person expecting to purchase. It can also any person expecting to sell, it can do so at the equilibrium price. No excess demand, no excess supply. Another two words you came to know, including shortages, surpluses. We will look at these two terms later. Right. It is mentioned through a demand some supply schedules, the way of illustrating equilibrium, through demand and supply curves, next through demand and supply equations. Right, first of all, demand and supply schedule. So the demand and supply schedule is referred to as a table. You see, it's a table. So then demand and supply can be determined. I mean, the price of a good is determined by looking at the schedule. So the next I'll show you. You also have such a screenshot. Let's say look at your it says table 2.5 demand and supply schedule, price, quantity demand, quantity supply. So the price increases from 0 to 6. Then the quantity demand, earlier we drew price and quantity demand. Right now we look at price and quantity demand plus quantity supply as well. So then, and the price increases, quantity demand fell. When the price increases, quantity demand increased. You see, therefore, we can notice a particular place where the price and what you call the quantity demand is equal to quantity supply. So it is mentioned already 6 and 6. When 6 units are purchased, then there are 6 buyers, I mean the sellers supplying 6 units. The price is also 3. Simply, when we want to buy, I give a particular uh, example. Let's say when you want to buy a pair of shoe from a shop, you will go and search. You have money, simple income. Then you look at first of all number of shoes what you want to, or according to your preference. Just imagine, right, you selected one pair. So you